a lot of people out there know about, Windup, the Warner Wound Watch Fair, and there's been an addition to it that you've sort of been the driving force behind, called, Wind Up in a Lake, or, now recently Wind Up in a Bay for San Diego. Could you, for anybody who's not familiar with it, just kind of speak to
Yeah,
what that is?
so Wind Up in a Lake is my brainchild that was given an enormous lift by our buddy Kyle Snar at Worn and Wound. Essentially, back in 2022, the Windup Watch Fair, which, if you don't know, is a great place to see, a lot of brands that you wouldn't normally find in an authorized dealer in a brick and mortar setting. You can go and try them on. And I know Watch Preserve has been at one or two of them before, which is awesome. Um, it, Basically, it came to Chicago for the first time in 2022 when it had been on the coasts for a long time. And so all of us good Midwestern watch nerds really rejoiced at the prospect of being able to come together. Like I mentioned before, we know each other from the nerdosphere. We know each other from basically watch Instagram. But Instagram is not a great platform, and
Hmm.
especially it wasn't a great platform back then to really connect with people. And so I said, hey, if we're going to have the opportunity to get together in Chicago, I know a lot of us are already divers. And I said, Chicago's right on Lake Michigan. Let's do a dive. Let's get together. Let's do it. We'll call it Wind Up in a Lake. And so we had several folks out. We had um, Ben Lowry of Submersible Wrist renown, not just some guy. We had we
Not just
had
some guy.
Jason Heaton of the Grey NATO, and my buddy also Chris Scott was there. He's my Chicago scuba maven. He knows everyone and everything about Chicago scuba, and he's also got an extraordinary story as I believe he's the youngest NAUI course director ever. Super great dude, super knowledgeable.
Oh,
And so we went out and we did the dive, and it was awesome. And I didn't expect much more to come of that. I just figured, if we're lucky, we can turn this into a tradition where, some friends get together and we do this. But then the following February, and this was in July, I got a call from Kyle at Worn and Wound, and he said, "Hey, would you, we heard that you did this. We think that's really awesome. Would you want to talk some more about potentially partnering with a watch brand to tell some stories about actually using these, dive watches underwater?" And I was just taken aback, man. I mean, I never looked for or expected anything like that. And it has really taken off since. It has we've done it a couple times in
hmm.
Chicago. The first one that we did that he was originally formulating was with Benrus, and so we produced a really awesome video feature for them for the launch of their Ultra Deep, which I've got here. I'll kind of put that one on wrist here, and we continued to do it with Citizen the following year. Um, we've got, I guess, is this the third one coming up? I've lost track. But we also expanded to San Francisco because the show's in San Francisco too. You don't want to dive in San Francisco Bay; it's pretty treacherous. Uh, there's a lot of
Yeah.
commercial traffic, a lot of sharks, like no visibility. It's not really done, but there is great diving a couple hours south in Monterey, California, which is also just beautiful. I had never been to Monterey before, and before last year, before we went out, and man, one of the most beautiful places on earth, honestly. And so,
Yeah, and you just got done with for this year's Wind Up in the Bay for San Francisco, and this was a much larger shindig than last year. It looked like you had a couple brands that were
we did,
sponsoring some
yeah.
stuff.
I would say the event did grow a bit, but at first it wasn't a matter of, how can we make this bigger and better, although we are always trying to think of ways to make it a cooler event for everybody involved. Um, it was really a matter of being unsure if it was going to happen because of the tariffs, basically. So Marathon's a Canadian brand. They're significantly impacted
Mm-hmm.
by, you know, the stuff. And so we were
Yep.
unsure if we were going to be able to, have the event this year and showcase the incredible marathon watches. And so we kind of put our heads together and came up with a solution in which we could have a co-sponsored event. And Prometheus Design Werx, who is an incredible brand that I know our buddy Brock has been close to for a long time. But
Hmm.
I didn't know as much about. And after working with them and collaborating with Patrick and trying on, all the gear, that stuff is lights out amazing. It's so intentionally designed, much more than I'm used to from any other typical like
Yeah.
outdoorsy brand, and I love that aspect. I'm a classic overthinker, and it takes one to know one, and I think Patrick is right there with me. So uh, yeah, so we were
Yeah.
very honored to have both of those brands back us this year, Marathon and Prometheus Design Werx. Yeah, it was an awesome outing. So Prometheus is much more land based, right? They have a lot of camping gear, a lot of just general outdoorsy tools, bags, etc. And so we said, well, why don't we just camp the night before, and then we'll dive the next day. So that's what we did.